Hello there, and welcome to the Night Owl, the show that we do twice a week on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, where we talk about entertainment news, TV and movie reviews, and gaming news. I'm Price of Reason, and as usual, I have my co host with me, Dreadroberts. How's it going, Dread?
What is going on, dude? I'm excited. We got
I am
stuff to talk about.
I am excited too, and it's always good and talk to some people and do whatever we do. Uh, how's your day been?
Honestly, it's one of the hottest days ever where I'm at in Texas, and everything burned outside. Like I was trying to touch things and just like walk around or drive to the store to get stuff, and I was just on fire like the whole time. And it was so arid, like the air outside was just insane. I think it was like 114 degrees or something.
Wow.
But uh,
Yeah, I
but it was
mean,
a good day.
where I'm at, it was kind of muggy, I think that's the best way for me to describe it. It felt kind of very, humid and muggy. I don't know if those are real words, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Dude, muggy is the perfect way to describe it.
So in any case, and we have some great people already I see in the chat. Hi everybody, Super Mario Brothers 3, Rita, Ibn Muhammad, Kivo.
Ooh, Super Mario Bros. 3, the real Sean Crummell, Rita, nice to see you again. I don't think I've seen Oh, okay,
You
I think
there?
it's been a minute since I've seen, yeah, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Because I saw this weird thing, but now it's fine. I just wanted to make sure I have signal. I thought maybe my
Oh,
the real
yeah,
Sean Kimmel.
yeah.
I walked home from work in 114 once. I was darting from building, shadow to shadow. So in any case, it was kind of a hot day, not one that was, super fun for me to be outside, but
Yeah,
it's better that it's a hot day than a cold day, I guess.
that's
A-
good. I
And
envy you.
and then I guess what's the first thing we were going to discuss? First of all, Disney Star Wars Backlash. It's been just a crazy day. Forget about, we already did the review. We talked about it. We had Robot Head here.
Yeah,
We were actually the first to immediately get Robot Head's response over these episodes as they aired, which was so great and so
crazy.
generous of him to stop by here, which is great. In any
Yeah,
case, we already knew that the thing wasn't good, but I think that what we already noticed before is they already tried to lay the groundwork. Now, before the Acolyte aired, they had these kind of articles already in Variety that they're already blaming fans that are is and phobes. They're blaming that the fan base there is predominantly male, which that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Because what are you blaming the fans that they're male? Yes, they're male, and you're not catering to them. You just admitted how stupid you are by saying that so many fans are male, and they're unhappy with what Kathleen Kennedy is doing. Maybe because all of her shows and all of her movies are all just like girl bosses, and no man does anything useful anywhere. Uh, and then they're like surprised, supposedly, and all this kind of uh, ists and phobes, and like Leslye Headland, who again, and this is also bizarre. I mean, I- I'm not saying she is Harvey W, but she was his assistant for many years. And for her to go around and be like, oh, like if you're phobes, you're not fans. Like, what are you all high and mighty for? You know what I mean? The
yeah,
reason you have a career today, and there's no other way around it. I mean, she basically was able to springboard herself into actual TV shows and stuff because of her work for Harvey. You know what I'm saying? Without that thing in her career, you don't know that she would have been anywhere. You know what I'm saying? If
mm,
she just worked as at a hot dog stand and then wanted to produce Star Wars, that may not have worked. I mean, working for a guy that at that moment is considered one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, it certainly helped her. So,
yeah, she definitely I don't know much about Leslie Headland, but, what I do know is that she clearly does not care about fandoms. She'll just go in interviews and just tell everybody, the whole world, that Star Wars is gay now and that like R2D2 is a lesbian, and it's just like this blatant disrespect and shoving of politics down Star Wars fans' throats. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then all these people in the media, they're saying, "Oh, it's being review bombed." Like, it's just crap, dude. It
Yeah, I
really is.
mean, the thing that annoys me is that we've already seen this a million times before. First of all, the reason they're saying it, and let's bring up this Rotten Tomatoes, which is like Exhibit A, Rotten Tomatoes. Let's come up with where is the Acolyte, which are already. This is so pathetic that they gave it a 92%. What
Yeah,
a
you knew yeah,
joke.
I mean, of course they were gonna do that.
What a
These people
joke. The 92%. The Sopranos, it's like it's the Sopranos, that's the kind of scores they give it. It's such a joke. It's like when they gave Miss Marvel and all those other things, they're like 99 out of 100. These shows are not 90s. This show, this is just a blatant lie. And I know I saw a lot of people, including like Nerdrotic and a lot of other people, were saying, "Oh, it's the critics that are actually review bombing because they're review bombing." That they're saying that the thing is good when it isn't. And the fact that these kind of Screen Rant and whatever do these articles, oh, so many people are users or audience members are review bombing. Uh, I don't think so. I think that the people that don't like it, they don't like it, and they're voicing their opinions.
No. They are definitely voicing their opinions. The argument was that, "Oh, well, these people just made accounts to drop this negative review." Well, I mean, it's like, what's wrong with that? Now,
No,
I would say that it kinda sucks if the other side review bombs a movie positively, but that does happen. But I think that people can mostly tell if a show is bad and not worth watching, if they just see the results and, see the trailers and,
Also,
uh
let's look. For example, see a negative one. Awful writing, even worse acting. The amount of film grain used in this is jarring, really detracts from some of the honestly cool looking sets. The fighting scenes, while cool, are not enough to save the show. That doesn't sound like a person who, review bombed. I think he gave his impression here. And I don't think this didn't seem like a person who was over the top, bonkers insane. You know what I mean? I think that this is and actually, the ones that are surprise me is the one that you have like 5 stars are usually the more suspicious ones. We really enjoyed it
Mm,
and look forward to a lot more. Master Soul is amazing. That's like that doesn't sound. That looks like a bot to me. That looks like a review
mm,
bomb. The other thing isn't. Um, this person
yeah.
wrote, truly fantastic, a return to the feeling of excitement and intrigue, while offering a fresh set of characters and timeline we have yet to see in live action. This almost seems like marketing material. The Jedi
Oh,
of the
wait,
High.
did you have that up, by the way? 'Cause I don't see
Oh,
it.
I have to share it. It's a good thing that you told me that. I'm going to share it right now.
Yeah, sorry, I think I was a little late, but
No, no, you were right. But at least people heard me read it. They know what I'm doing. Uh,
there you go.
yeah. So yeah, let's look at this stuff. So truly
A return.
fantastic.
Wow.
A return to the feeling of excitement and intrigue while offering a fresh set of characters. Who even talks like that? This sounds like an AI wrote this. And timeline we have yet to see in live action. The Jedi of the High Republic are front and center, offering a look at what it is like during the most prosperous and peaceful time period. This is not a human being. This is not a human being that wrote this. Riveting action sequences, beautifully complex characters, outstanding acting, and all the
Uh,
practical effects with that classic Lucasfilm charm. This is not a human being. Nobody talks like this. I have a good feeling about this. This is a PR company that's sitting here and putting reviews. Uh,
yeah, that is, like, the best review you could give a show probably.
Right, and now let's look at somebody that wrote a bad one. Okay, I will admit my expectations were probably too high for this, but wow, does this underwhelm? Doesn't know what it is or what it wants to be. If I could at least see the vision, I would give it the benefit of the doubt. What an absolute mess. But this sounds thoughtful. This sounds like a real person saw it. And it's not even
Mm,
like a super mean spirited thing. It's just some person that saw it and thought it was crap. But didn't even come. You could have said like the worst things ever. This is really mild.
yeah. It's a nuanced review and not
R
just black and white.
right, right, so then, the setting of the show is quite interesting, but most of the actors just doesn't feel like they belong with a few exceptions. Can't say if it's bad casting or bad directing. The only Jedi that felt like a Jedi to me so far was Carrie-Anne Moss. It also feels rushed, jumping too quickly between events, conversations, and nothing in between to show the time has actually passed. This is very thoughtful,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
a
Like,
real one.
Yeah, this
That's
Jeff
definitely a real person.
real person, Jeff W. The first 2 episodes aren't well acted or compelling. Nothing about the characters are interesting, and the actors just marching through their lines with minimal effort. It really doesn't feel like Star Wars, despite shoehorning in lines from the past better movies. I'm thinking I'm dipping out as I don't see this getting any better. I mean, this doesn't look like a group of mean-spirited people that wanted to ruin anything. They just don't
Yeah.
like it. Now let's look at the 5-star ones that suddenly popped up here. Pretty great show. The fight scenes are some of the best Star Wars scenes I've seen since Revenge of the Sith. Little disappointed Master Indra died so soon. Hope we get to see more characters and story from this era. Maybe this one is a real
Mm.
person. Maybe. Although this person doesn't have a name, which is weird. It's like an eggshell with
Yeah.
no name. I mean,
Yeah, I
does
mean, you're a little disappointed Master Indara died so soon, but you gave it a 5.
yeah, I mean, 5 is like that's over the top. If this person would have given it like a 3.5, I would have been like, okay, I believe this. But 5 is like is over the top. So
But it is not, but it's not just like a generic response of just like, "Well, this is the best show I've ever seen ever. Star Wars is back, yay." Like, it's it mentions things about the episodes with Indara dying, so I would think that that's a person, and but
that
maybe they
could
were
be a
generous.
person.
Yeah.
Usually the ones that feel like bots are ones that like say nothing but just give it like this overall broad compliment, and I think this is one of them. Fantastic. This is as close to the original Star Wars as you will get. Interesting characters, great story. More, please.
Whoa, Mur Rockstro says IMDb rating 4.7 out of 10, 43rd most popular show ever, lowest ranking in the top 50 shows. Great.
Yeah,
What did Rita say earlier? Grace Randolph went off the rails. Oh yeah, I saw that. So yeah, she went off a little off the rails a little today. She said those YouTubers who hate Acolyte are grifters making videos for views. Yeah, I actually saw that. She kind of went a little. I would say off the rails is a little is probably fitting, but she was just criticizing other YouTubers. She just called them straight up grifters for hating on the Acolyte. But even if you don't look at the whole show as like this, this woke agenda, there are several problems in the show. I mean, there's lots of things to point out that are negative that don't pertain to anything political or societal at all. It's you could separate the two and still have plenty of criticism where it's not a perfect show and people criticizing it are justified. But like it kind of sucks because Grace Randolph, popular YouTuber, but just writing a whole bunch of people off like that, you see that way too often now.
totally. And just what I was just telling you that some of these don't look so authentic. Dave R. Love the first 2 episode. Just wish Disney had dropped the whole season. See, that doesn't feel that
Hmm.
authentic. This seems like a very skimpy review. You put 5 stars, you loved it. Where are all the episodes? It doesn't sound like anything. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like a review to me.
Well, they haven't seen the rest of the show and gave it 5 stars. In fact, a lot of people who are just audience have not seen the whole show but have given it 5 stars. Can they like come in later and change their reviews?
Not
Or, like,
sure.
change their stars? I'm not sure either. I've never really made an account on Rotten Tomatoes to leave reviews. I remember the old days when people would leave reviews and you could comment on people's reviews and leave hilarious responses. And I saw just
Yeah, no,
belly,
I
you
think they've
know.
taken away all those features. Now it's just a bunch of bots.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
now it's just bots.
This one is 4 stars, so you think that maybe it is real, but let's see. Having grown up on the OT, I was 6 when A New Hope was released. I really appreciate the direction this is going. After 2 episodes, my interest has peaked. It's refreshing to be outside the Skywalker saga timeline. Looking forward to seeing where this takes us. It could maybe be real.
Hmm,
You know,
maybe.
if for a bot, it wasn't as bottish. This one with no name again and an eggshell, 5 stars. The mystery is thrilling. It adds to the lore. What's a fakey?
It's not a mystery. You find out like the whole plot, and
In like the
I'd say
first
the
3
only
minutes.
mystery, yeah, like I would say the only mystery is who the Sith is. But people have kind of pieced it together. Some think it's the Asian dude who's like the fake store owner, or I just made a funny prediction that it would be Carrie Ann Moss coming back to life and she faked her death or something. And other people
Still
are saying other
possible.
things. Sorry, go
Um,
on, man.
it's possible that she'll come back to life. I totally think that you may be right. Then what's a fake it? It adds to the lore. A fake it? I don't even understand what that means in a great
Oh,
way.
AFA, if as far as I know.
Oh, as far as I know it in a great way. It feels like the Jedi in their peak power. That again doesn't seem like a real person. The fights are awesome with the way the more senior Jedi almost never even light their saber. Love it so far.
Eh,
This could have been a bot.
it could have, but I don't know.
Now
People, I
let's
think,
look
are
at
just really too generous. They're giving it just 5 stars, but they're pointing out things that they don't like.
the quote unquote review bombers. 2 stars. The story is confusing. Amanda Sandler plays twins the same, so that adds to the confusion. The pace of the show is very slow with unsatisfying payoffs. The Jedi world in Acolyte is the same as the one in Phantom Menace, which seems odd considering the series is supposed to take place years before Phantom Menace. Ahsoka was a much better series. Now,
Ooh,
I I think that Ahsoka was terrible. So I don't know
I
if to
don't
say
know.
that I don't know if I agree with that, but I do feel like whoever wrote this actually put thought into the review. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is awful, and then it's like half a star, or this is the best show ever. Disney have done it again. Like it's not one of those either. This actually looks like somebody analyzed it and gave their thoughts, and the thoughts are rather legitimate.
Mhm.
Um, Somebody here says this is a quote unquote review bomber. This show absolutely breaks Star Wars canon. The soundtrack is unbearable, which really takes the soul out of this show. Not that it has any of it, anyways. I will say I do like the character of Saul, but other than that, it's a bland and basic show which doesn't feel like Star Wars. Similar to most Disney Star Wars projects. Nevertheless, maybe my opinion will change when the other episodes are released. Highly doubt it. This
Real
feels like a
person.
real person. This is a
Yep.
thoughtful, and even I said that I actually think that that actor from Squid Games is the only thing I like there. Maybe his English isn't good, but, he is a good actor, so he has some kind of at least presence there. I wish his English was a bit better, but I do like him.
Mhm. I also don't think that Soul is awful, and, I don't mind. I kinda like his inspiration, wants to be like Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that that's fine. I think that he's just given an awful script. Maybe it's, like, a little written a little better than other shows like Kenobi, but not that much. I'm not saying much when I say that.
So look, part of the narrative and what I see and what I consider bots is like that they're sad that Disney didn't drop all the episodes and they can't wait for more. There's certain like buzzwords. So in this one, it's like costume sets and effects look great. Good start for a mystery thriller Star Wars. Wish the episodes were longer is my only criticism. It's like he needs more of this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's also the thing. Why didn't Disney drop all of them at the same time? This is sort of a narrative that feels a bit bottish to me. Uh,
This kinda makes
Mm.
me excited for Wednesday or whenever that. I don't know when they're planning on releasing the 3rd episode,
yes,
but
that's
whenever
gonna be
they
a
do.
disaster.
Oh, man. You know how many people have said on social media that, like, that this 3rd episode is going to destroy what remaining faith people had in this?
I believe it. So let's see. This is a real person, in my opinion, but let's see what he says. Reading the reviews just after I watched episode 1 and 2, it's just poor. Every scene is too clean, clothes clean, even the dirty rooms are clean. There's a scene where fire breaks out in space. Feels like it was filmed in Disneyland. Carry On Moss underused, has no emotion at all. The rest of the cast, poor acting and poor story. I did give it a chance. I will watch episode 3 and maybe 4, as it has to improve. There has to be more. Again, feels like a
Uh,
real person.
yeah. Well, that person's gonna be disappointed, I have a feeling.
I feel like that too. Then again, 5 stars, no name. First 2 episodes feel fresh and exciting. Can't wait for more. Again, the narrative of like, I wish there were longer. I wish they dumped all the episode at once. We need more of it. Can't wait for more. The bots always have the vibe of can't wait for more.
Wow.
Wow. It is up there with Andor, some of the best new Star Wars content. A really interesting take. Again, sounds generic. Maybe I could
I'm
let this
sorry.
one slide. It
It is
seems
not up there with Andor.
it isn't
Sorry.
up there with that. No, Andor was like half decent. Um, the action
Yeah.
is well done. Amanda is doing well in her dual role, and Master Soul is great. Does it feel like Star Wars? Depends on what Star Wars you're
Oh,
talking about. Not so much the OT to me. It seems like a mix of the prequels, lots of Jedi, and The Mandalorian. It's giving us a more detailed look under the microscope into the world of Jedi and dark side Force users. I feel like it started out tight and strong in the first episode, but was in a state of disarray by the end of the second. And then 5 stars. If all of this happened, how did it get 5 stars? Uh, Hopefully, it can gather itself together in the coming episodes and take us on a worthwhile journey. Oh, and in response to all the other reviews you'll read on here, Andor was mid at best. Talk about a show that felt like nothing like Star Wars. Star Wars is and always will be for kids. I mean, as dumb as this person sounds, it could be a real person. At least somebody like actually wrote some thoughts here. I don't agree with the thoughts, and I don't know how this ends up a 5 star. It could be a real person.
This person, they said that they were, what is that, in disarray? What is that, like close to fainting or something? At the time the episode was just so good.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Disarray bad though? I guess I'm
I
confused.
don't know. I'm not sure. But it like the media, they blanket statement everything. But there's a good chance that a lot of these people just they made accounts and they put reviews up because they were really that upset about the show. It's very possible.
We have Genghis John 87 says, I would rather them go off canon, then it may be somewhat acceptable, but still not. Real fans, I'm sure, would love to see KOTOR stuff like Revan or an adaptation of Fatal Alliance, etc. You're probably right.
Well, you're probably in luck too.
And then
because what's her face said that she wants to do a Knights of the Old Republic thing.
Yes, as if this wasn't enough, you need more Leslye Headland shows. Let's see, Vanessa D. I love the Star Wars world. This from the beginning episode didn't embody that Star Wars vibe I've come to know and love. Feels like there's a ton of overacting where it should be subtle. And in general, there's a fair bit of bad acting, cringe moments, and bad delivery. The visuals are great and the CGI isn't bad. Overall, it doesn't feel like Star Wars, which is upsetting, as many have waited a long time for this particular story to be told. See, again, sounds like a real person to me. These don't seem like evil, mean-spirited people. Until now, we haven't found even one. We haven't found one that you could tell is just like a jerk that came to ruin this. You know what I mean? These are very thoughtful negative reviews. Like every negative review has said stuff that I've thought before. A lot of them, with the exception of the one that said that, like, oh, I sure liked Ahsoka. With the exception of that sentence, almost everything that was said here as criticism was pretty valid. The acting really isn't very good. That Stunberg, whatever Amanda actress, isn't convincing as the twins. They didn't make the twins look different, and she's not such a good actress to really pull off that you think that they're two different twins. It doesn't help, and again, I think most people would agree that Soul guy is probably the best actor there. He has the limitations of English, and they've flanked him with a bunch of girl bosses that like bark at him. But in general, he could have been, if you would have removed all that nonsense, and maybe they would have given him a role that he maybe doesn't talk as much, or they have him talk in a way that's more true to the way he really speaks. If you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when somebody has an accent and you want him to read as if he's reading Shakespeare, it's weird. If he's not the best English speaker, but if they keep it simple and gave him very simple kind of lines in key situations, I think that he could have looked cool. You know what I mean? I guess there was probably a way to utilize that actor in a way that was cool. They just didn't do it.
To be honest, I find it impressive that he is doing so well, considering it's like his first time speaking English. Because he said that he only learned English because of the show.
That's funny.
I mean, like it's hard to even trash a guy because he says he did it because he loves Star Wars, and like it's pretty cool what he's doing there. I just think he's not being given good material. I don't know if he realizes it or not, but I certainly. Like I see his role in there. I'm just like, man, he really could be like Qui-Gon Jinn if maybe they just gave him a little bit more to work with rather than just having him be a punching bag for his Padawans who clearly have no respect for him at all. It's just terrible. Right. And his master too. His master's just like, you can't do this. Okay, but I really want you. No, you can't. And then later it's like, hey, maybe you're right. Like, no, keep going. It's like, dude, how about you guys get on the same page as masters, okay? Let's not undermine the only, I don't know, it's not even redeeming, but the only passable character in the show.
Right. I mean, he's doing the best he can under the circumstances, and I genuinely like this actor, but it is what it is. He's not the problem. He's not the problem with the show. When I think of this show and its problems, he's not the problem. Uh,
Hmm.
one could talk about his limitations with the language, but really, you could tell when you see his face and that like they're talking to him, that even when you just see his expressions, that he has like more to offer than all the actors around him.
True.
If he was like a monk of sorts that doesn't speak and you just saw him and he'd like walk into the room, he still would have like more gravitas than most of the doofus Jedi guy, the weird girl with the fins on her face. I don't know
Yep.
that one, the dread girl, the green Leslye Headland's wife. All of those people do not have his acting skills. The
No.
only strength they have is that they speak English better than him, and even so, he has like more of a presence than them on screen in any scene that he's in with them. Even the fact that he just learned English 1 minute ago, maybe he doesn't even know what he's saying in the scene, and he still looks like he can act better than them.
Yep. I agree. Also, do you by chance? I know we're going to read some more reviews, but do you by chance also have the clip of the Leslye Headland and Amanda Stenberg interview? Because that thing has just been destroyed lately. Even the media is reporting on like these ladies are going they're going viral for calling Star Wars gay and stuff, just like
Yeah, that's
saying
a
that it's
dumb thing.
canon
Let me
now.
see if I can find it. Uh,
Also, Daisy Blossom says, I think Soul's actor does the best he can with the clunky dialogue. Yeah. I mean, what more can he do? I mean, he's learning English just to play the part. So, yeah, I agree. He's probably doing the best that he can.
okay,
Whalem says Soul is the only redeeming character. So I think everyone's in agreement, actually. This is
okay.
his first
I wanna ask
English
you both
role.
because this is. I want to ask
Sorry.
you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars. I think by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
It's pretty gay. Let's be honest. Leslye, are you? How do you feel?
Am I gay?
Are you,
Yes.
Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking: are you excited about putting this? This is going to be a talking point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure so.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in
Wow.
my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun element of?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I'm frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me with a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2D2 is a lesbian.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask for
Can you
one.
imagine?
Yeah, talk to Filoni.
You know what? Man, they seem so nervous and afraid to just share their thoughts on the matter. Like, did you see the way they were looking at each other?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I realize that some of this was probably them like thinking that they're telling funny jokes and stuff. I think that some of it was said here in jest, but underneath the jest, there's something that's true here. I mean, yes, they're making jokes, and yes, it's in jest, but the truth is that he's saying that it is the gayest because it kind of is. I mean, and I think they know it. So it's one of those weird situations that on one hand they're joking, and on the other hand they're not really joking.
Well, they said that she said that they've been saying that Star Wars is gay, and she says that she's into it. Amanda Stenberg is looking at her like, what are you gonna say? I thought that whole interview was funny because like when you watch those ladies, it's like they're kind of like afraid of what the other is going to say, so they're waiting for that response while the interviewer just really wants that soundbite of them saying that it is gay. It's
Oh,
like, come on, it's
he
like,
got his sound bites.
oh yeah, he did. But he was trying to bait them, and maybe dude, Leslye was just she's just laughing the whole time, and it felt like nervous laughter. But it's really sad. In
I
my
don't know if
opinion.
it's nervous laughter. I think that this just highlighted why people that we just saw here shouldn't be involved in Star Wars. As an actress, this actress, if this actress acted like, on the level of Alec Guinness, and then you sit her in interviews and she says dumb things. I mean, we've seen stuff like that from Alec Guinness, even from Harrison Ford, who's great as Han Solo, but then you interview him, he just says a bunch of annoying, weird things. I think that this actress, based on her acting skills, what I've seen in this episode, has not earned the right to tell any jokes at all. She should be thankful that she got any kind of role here, because in my opinion, she's not a caliber of actress that deserves these roles. In my opinion, I don't think she has the range to pull off two sisters. I really don't. I didn't buy it at all, and just something about her in general. I didn't really love her acting. It's not only
Yeah.
her fault. I didn't like the other people that were acting around her. Like I said, only Squid Games guy I thought like has potential as an actor. All the rest seemed extremely CW. Some people
I
are like
agree.
Amanda Stelber. She's such a good. I don't know what she's good at. She is, in my opinion, CW material. She could have been Batwoman. That's CW material.
Yeah, I've seen she's actually been in quite a few roles. So she wasn't, the acting wasn't all that great in this show. Or well, so far it's not. She could prove us all wrong. I doubt it, but she could prove us all wrong and just pull off an amazing feat of like pulling off these two twin sisters who are opposite in morality, but I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what to tell you. Anyhow, I personally don't think that she certainly doesn't have a track record that she's earned something that she could sit and just take a dump on it the way she does in this interview. I don't think it's a good look. It looks like somebody not serious. And let's also be honest, everything we've seen from Star Wars, from Disney Star Wars until now, has been so bad. If I were these actors, I would make an effort to try to win over fans and really look like you care, or you know what the lore is, or you know anything about Star Wars. Instead, we got people that don't know anything about it. They're saying that Anakin blew up the Death Star. They're making jokes about the LG aspects of it and all this different stuff. There's just a very unserious feeling about it. And when you see the creators sitting around and how not serious they are, when they're supposed to just be talking like seriously about this project, which is necessary right now because people have so little faith in Disney. The fact that it looks like two gigglers, that they're giggling about it like little kids, it's not a good look in general. Forget about even what they're saying, if you get what I mean.
No, I totally get what you mean. I mean, if don't even just look at the interview with Leslye Headland. Take a look at the show itself. With episode 3 coming up, and they're planning this whole Force is actually literally female thing that they've apparently been planning for a while. I didn't know how literal it was going to be until this show. But with episode 3, they're going to not just do that, but they're going to have these twins be born from lesbian moms who birthed them through immaculate conception. So I imagine not too dissimilar from Shmi with Anakin. And it feels like a big retcon. And I don't feel like Leslye Headland cares. I think that interview is proof. Maybe she's nervous. I thought that she kind of looked nervous about because that backlash is strong and it's continuous. And but I also think that she doesn't really care in the long run, because you're about to see these episodes that they handcrafted, right? So she'll just take a dump all over the lore, and it doesn't matter what the fans say. And now she's like, oh, I want to make Knights of the Old Republic, dude. I hope they do. I hope they do.
Yeah,
I think it'll be dead by then, but
yeah, at this point, what have we got to lose? Let them do everything.
yeah.
They should make like Leslye Headland the new George Lucas. She can do all the shows.
Eraserhead said, and you can't even make the case that the actor misspoke. On 2 or 3 separate occasions in that interview, he said it was Anakin, the Death Star. Oh, yeah, they're all talking about it. Also, Hello Vex says Star Wars sucks.
Vex, I think, has never been a fan of it, so I think she doesn't care one way or another.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm sure a lot of people agree now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue now. It does suck now, but the original trilogy, I think, that still holds up as nice. But Disney sure made an effort to ruin the magic of that. I'm not saying maybe at some point in my life I'll be able to sit and like still enjoy those movies for what they are, but man, is it difficult. they managed to take something that was so iconic and magical and make it almost like you don't even feel like I don't have the same excitement to watch those original movies. I recognize why they're great and I still like them, but I used to sit and once in a while I would sit and watch all the movies and do all this stuff. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, the movies like that, they come along once in a blue moon now. Experiences and events like that.
For sure.
I know quite a few people actually, a couple of people that are close friends. They don't even watch movies anymore. Like they'll stick to the old stuff, but they don't go out to the theaters and see what's new because they're just sick of it. Not just Disney, but a lot of stuff now. Not to be so cynical or anything, but but it is
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I guess, we looked at some of the reviews. We saw like that there were these articles and all this stuff that they're all preparing the narrative of the ists and phobes and all this other stuff. But you know what? None
Mhm.
of that matters. What matters is viewership. And I know Disney themselves have advertised it like it's a great show. 4 million people have watched it, but based on nothing. I mean, there's no way to verify that's even true at this point. I assume that down the road, one of those Nielsen things will actually give some more shed light on real figures. I don't know if
Yeah.
maybe some people tuned into this one out of sheer curiosity, but like a lot of those other shows, I don't know how many of them are going to stick around until the end. And even now, I don't think this thing, just based on my instinct, the main thing I'm hearing is how much people don't like it. Maybe a lot of people watched it and came to that conclusion, but this doesn't feel like a slam dunk. Even like when you had the
Mm.
early episodes of the first episode season of The Mandalorian, you actually felt some people that were excited. I don't feel that excitement here.
Mm. No, me neither. Well, plus people said that it's like, oh, well, that's a lot of people watching it, but people have argued that since it's like at this point of the year, close to summer, or in some places it even is, it's like this. You're supposed to have way more than this. Um, but I think that you're right though. A lot of people are waiting for Nielsen because these people just lie. They've done this before for other shows. Man, they were really kissing the boots of Amazon with Rings of Power, and they were trying so hard to keep the real viewership under wraps until we found out, a while later that not enough people watched it. So I see the same thing happening here. They're just going to hide
Yeah.
it and they're going to say, "Oh, it's great." Maybe even episode 3 will get a lot of viewership just because of how many people are probably anticipating it to just screw Star Wars up. But if your
Yeah.
viewership is based solely on like the bad episodes, like just these crap episodes that just shock everybody because of how butchering it is to the lore, that's not a good TV show. But people are for some reason pretending that it is. And
This seems like a train wreck type of situation here, that people are just watching because they think it's a train wreck. Um, that's basically what's going
yeah,
on. That's been Star Wars for a while. It's like, this is awful. I just want to see how awful it is. But I think that that's not how you build a good, solid audience. I think that
yeah,
at best you have some people that are just annoyed and are going to watch it and get annoyed and stop watching in the middle. Uh,
yeah,
Again, those are people that are not going to buy any merchandise. They're not these kind of customers that you can really bank on. They're just you like I said, it's a train wreck, and they're there to look at it for a few minutes, but you're not really
yeah.
building something.
No, no. I do wish them luck though, because man, I think after I think after 3 things are gonna just get crazy.
And the question is, when it comes to the agenda, because that's also something that we mentioned here. Uh, it's hard to ignore. It's like initially, and I feel kind of vindicated in this case, when that whole thing with The Last Jedi came out and people started kind of researching and seeing that all that kind of force is female and Kathleen Kennedy, you heard so many people trying to make excuses for why that. No, she doesn't really mean the force is female. It was a shirt that Nike made. All these different stories, never really saying that Nike, the guy that's the CEO, sits on the Disney board and is a pal of Kennedy and they send shirts over. Nobody ever mentions that. And there's a million things to point that Kathleen Kennedy knew what the forces of female was, why she wanted this at this event, the agenda she was pushing even then. And people like,
Yeah.
oh, I know you're just ist and phobes that you sit around and you're imagining things. No, nobody was imagining things. She was absolutely 100% doing that. And she meant it. You know what I'm saying? She said what she meant, and she meant it. She until this day, every single project of hers has been the same. Girl boss lead, guy next to her that's kind of an idiot. Like I told you last time, if it's a diverse man, he's not as good as the woman. He's there. She needs to put him in his place, and maybe he can assist her. And if it's a white man, like more of a Caucasian, that person is like a complete either evil, loser, bum, timid, or a combination of all of them. But nothing good will come out of the Caucasian one. That's for sure in this show.
Yep. Especially if you in episode 2, like the only white Jedi.
Right.
He's unemployed for 10 years and then he offs himself.
Right.
So,
and the speed, she just shows up and she's like, "You've done bad things." He's like, "You're right. I have to kill myself. Here's the green thing. Don't do anything. I'll drink this green thing. See ya." And it's like you were
couldn't
waiting
kill him
10
with
years.
knives, but I'll drink your potion. No problem.
No problem. It's time for me to drink this potion. You're right and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What is that? That's like the white guy doesn't even put up a fight. At least Carrie Ann Moss pretended to fight her. Like,
I didn't even know that was Tommen from Game of Thrones. I didn't even know that.
Who was that?
Master Torben. I'm pretty sure it's the Tommen actress or actress, Tommen actor.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so like I think I've seen him also in he played the older brother in The King, I believe, with what's his face? Timothy Chalamet. That's it. But yeah, I saw the younger version of him because you're gonna see flashbacks in the Acolyte of like a younger Torben, and he has like thick curly hair and he looks young and like a normal person, even though like it's actually kind of amazing the differences between his younger and older self. I mean, it's so bad. I don't know about you, but that makeup on Master Torben with the hair and the scar and stuff, it looked so
cheap.
poorly made. Yeah, it looked so cheap. Yeah,
totally.
I was shocked about that.
I totally agree. I thought it was very cheap. It didn't look good at all. And then back to what we were talking about. So everybody thought, oh, you're a tinfoil man. You think that she's really trying to do this stuff. And yes, she is every single movie. And it annoys me that all the people along the way that wanted to bury, some of them wanted to bury their head in the sand. Some of them I guess like her agenda. I've met both kinds. I don't know, at this point, even the most like person that loves agendas and whatever can claim that this is good for Star Wars. And she's done it in every single thing. I can't think of one case where a man went out and was like a hero. I mean, that's like obsession. That's an obsession. And it's a company-wide thing. It's her agenda. It's Disney's agenda. And, now also with their more gay agenda that they're all talking about freely. I consider myself, a somewhat middle of the road type of guy. And I don't get into everybody's business wanting to know what they do every second in their private lives. But at the same time, I don't think that Star Wars needed to become a vehicle for this kind of LG thing. And when I say vehicle, like an obsessive, not only the LG thing, I mean, just in general, all the identity politics. And people in the past, people are like, people that say identity politics, they're ists and phobes. They just use that as kind of a term to mask that. No, it's not a term to mask it. These shows are obsessed. They're obsessed with identity politics. There's no way around it. I mean, I can show you every single movie and every single show and the agenda that's there. It's an obsession. If you would have had a situation where there's like men that are doing stuff and they're awesome and some cool female characters, that would have been fine. I mean, I think that the original trilogy and the prequels certainly had that. It's just that that's not what these shows and movies are going for. They want the agenda and that's all they want.
Yeah, they're not the male characters in all of Star Wars sequels, the sequel trilogy. They're nothing like Han Solo and Luke. Finn, completely wasted character, wasted potential, had the most inconsistent arc ever. Poe Dameron, he didn't really evolve past the whole pilot thing, and then he ended up being rejected in his last scene ever.
That is like the worst. He's like,
he got
hey, like
he got friend zoned.
he got friend zoned in the final scene, and it's so pathetic that they friend zoned him. That like, you know, no fun with Kennedy. I mean, man, she must be a bummer at parties and stuff. Like, no fun. There can't even be a guy that's just like nice to a lady and she kind of likes him. Even that is
Yeah,
considered unacceptable in the world of Star Wars. It's really annoying.
yeah. Oh, and I forgot, Luke dead, Kylo Ren dead. Oh, he was a fan favorite. Dead.
Right. And Finn, they made a joke.
Andor's broken until the end of the show. And I'll give that show credit for there was actually substance there though. And these Jedi in the new show, except for Soul, I mean he's all right, but he keeps getting chewed out by the ladies, so he's an emotional punching bag, and that will probably be his role. And then you got the Jedi who gets caught with his pants down, literally,
That
while
was
he's ironing
weird.
his clothes.
That was very
Yeah,
weird.
he's also trigger happy and controlling. I mean, dude, I don't think I've seen The Mandalorian was great, but then what happens in season 3? I mean, season 2 you kind of see hints of it, but then 3 completely sidelined, and then everyone is saying, "Oh, Mandalorian really just meant the chick, Bo-Katan or whatever her name is." Um, yeah, just when's the last time we saw a heroic male, like Bryce said? Long
Nothing. I
time.
can't think of one instance, and the fact that you can't think of one, that means that something bad is happening. And
Yeah.
I knew it from the second I saw that Last Jedi movie. I knew it then, and I was one of the people. There's a lot of people like me, but I think that the people that have like good senses knew at that moment where this franchise was heading, and worse, the kind of agenda that's being peddled, and it hasn't stopped until today. And what's interesting is no matter how many failures, no matter how many bad things, nobody wants to change this. Between, I guess, whatever DEI they have, and in Kathleen Kennedy's case, it's not just the DEI. She is enthusiastic about these things. It's like
Yeah.
it's a match made in heaven. Imagine like Sweet Baby Inc. arrives, but the CEO of the company, it's at least thinking in the same direction of SBI, if not even more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like the worst matchup because like you have them both wanting this thing and really excited about it, almost like boosting each other.
Yeah, that's weird.
So yeah, it's unfortunate, but why I said in the headline that it's a failure is that it's like when we were talking about Gamergate, and I was saying that years ago, the journalists seemed to have the upper hand because there wasn't enough of a community online that could really combat it. And I think that these days, when you see all the stuff that's happening with Gamergate 2 or whatever you want to call it, you see a lot of like people online immobilizing into groups and really battling, putting up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when it comes to Star Wars, maybe 7 years ago they could have sold the public all these weird mainstream media articles, but I think that these days it is much more difficult these days for them to sell this stuff. Yeah, they still have
Mm-hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes in their pockets with the reviews, with the critics that really review bombed, but you could tell with those just between the YouTube channels and just the audience score and all that, they're not really winning over fans here.
No.
People can
No,
see
I
through
don't think
this.
so.
I also think that people that even are more like to the left or more this, surely some people are looking at this and even they know that it's crap.
Well, I actually find it shocking how many people on, the Disney Star Wars fandom, like how they're like massing together and just defending this thing and encouraging it, but it's like it's just it doesn't even seem like it's coming from a genuine place, and that only because everyone sees their flag in this thing somehow, or they see that they're being represented. It's just like that's their only defense, and that's like why they love it, because when you look at the show objectively, there's so many plot holes. There's performance issues, like the actors don't perform their roles well. The pacing is off. The show looks great in some places, but awful in others. The choreography isn't perfect. It's matrixy, but it's like whatever. The mystery is not really a mystery at all, since you kind of know at the beginning what's going on, and then the only real thing you have to figure out is who the Sith is. And I just don't find that to be compelling. We really could have gotten an interesting Jedi show. I saw some post on X the other day that I thought was cool, because it presented the idea that we could have gotten a genuinely cool Jedi detective story. Like maybe we could have a Jedi who's a detective, like he's assigned as a guy who solves crimes for the Jedi Council or something. I don't know. And then he uses the Force to solve problems and to gather clues and stuff. But you could have done that with a man or a woman and done fine. But instead, we get this thing where you get this exposition dump at the beginning, so you know everything. There's no real mystery unless it's the Sith, and it just makes for a drag of a show. And it's also misrepresented, since it was advertised as this really compelling mystery. And all these people giving it, by the way, sorry, Price, I'm almost done. But all those people
go on. I'm say whatever you speak your mind, man.
Thanks, man. All the people on Rotten Tomatoes giving it 5 stars. It just feels so disingenuous, and they're saying positive things about it, and they're like, oh, this is such a compelling and thrilling mystery. But it's like, if you watch the show, you're not going to say that. And
some of those are bots. Some of those are bot and PR people. More of the people. Also, first of all, I can't imagine why, unless maybe it's like a rival studio, you could say, oh, they want him to look bad. But really, there's not a lot of incentive for people to go and leave thoughtful, detailed reviews about why they don't like a show. You know what I mean? Like, I reread those kind of negative reviews, and I thought that they hit real points, real criticism. It wasn't just like, if all they would have said was in one sentence, oh, it's crap, we don't like it, I would have said, yeah, it could be a bot. But all of the people, they really thoughtfully. On the other hand, the ones that liked it, they're like, we're so thrilled. Can't we wait to see more? Why didn't they release all the episodes at once? Can't wait. Disney has done it again. Can't wait for more. Really, really weird comments.
Yeah. Someone should just get Master of the TDS to make an account on Rotten Tomatoes and just start finding where all these bots are coming from. Just find the body network inside of the Rotten Tomatoes algorithm. And shut it down. But no, hey, the media, at least what was it? I think it was, I can't remember which paper it was, Screen Rants, who were saying that it was just getting review bombed. That is true. Yep. It's getting review bombed by bots who are giving it positive reviews. They're not going to say that. They're going to point out like all these hateful people, but like all the reviews that Price just read, like you said, man, they're all reasonable, just actual critiques of the show. So
totally. And now there's another story that I don't think, because of all this Star Wars stuff, it hasn't been reported as much. But I don't know if you saw this. Taika Waititi is doing for Amazon a Time Bandits remake. Now I'm going to be careful here. Because I know some insider info, and I'll just say it. Initially, in this production, and I know this for a fact, initially in the early stages of it, they actually auditioned little people for the roles as they're supposed to be, because that was in the original one. They hired little people, and in this show, it was going to go in the same direction. Now, I know somebody who was kind of auditioning for this, and at the beginning they wanted little people. It's the same also with that Seven Dwarfs with Rachel Ziegler. In both cases, they initially had real casting calls for little people, and they even auditioned them and did all this stuff. And I know this for a fact for this YTD one. And in both cases, what happened was at the end, in order to quote unquote not offend, they decided to, in one case, in Ziegler, that they would remove the. First of all, they decided not to cast little people, so they'd cast average sized people. But that doesn't seem right, as the dwarfs, they don't look like dwarfs. So then when everybody was making fun of them, they decided they'll CGI dwarfs over the actors. And based on the picture that they once showed Disney, it looked awful. It looked embarrassing.
So for a normie like me who hasn't seen Time Bandits, what is Time Bandits?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I watched it many years ago once. I'm not like a guy that religiously follows it. It was
Uh,
something I think from the guy Terry Gilliam, like from the Monty Python. It was something quirky and funny with I think, they were dwarfs and there was some kind of adventure going on. I have seen it, but to be honest with you, I don't remember it. I'm embarrassed that I don't remember more. I was young and I did see it. It's many years ago. I
Hmm.
remember liking it, but I don't know a lot beyond that. But all I know is that I do remember that they were little. They weren't like average sized people. So the one thing that kind of was the thing that you kind of need to do, that's part of what this thing is, they decided to recast them with average sized people. And the
Yeah.
reason they did it is apparently um, they didn't want to quote unquote offend little people. But what in both cases I think is kind of crappy because I've met people that try to get roles that are in that category, and they have so few opportunities. There's so few
Mm.
roles. If you're like 4 feet tall or something like that, there are not many roles for you in Hollywood. And even let's say we're going with this kind of what those kind of see yourself on screen and all this whatever. I mean, sometimes these kind of roles, these are important. I guess what I'm saying, it's important to that community. It's
Mm.
some of the only opportunities they have, and any actor that's a little person will gladly audition for these roles. The only person that doesn't like them is Peter Dinklage.
Oh,
And the reason Peter Dinklage doesn't like them is because he feels. I mean, again, um, this is something. This is something that somebody has told me. You can take it with a grain of salt, uh,
okay.
but something insidery that he feels that he's like sorry for the pun, whatever, but risen above, being a little person. Uh,
Well, that's apparent if you watch Infinity War. That's the biggest role he's ever had, literally.
No, but I'm going to say something. This is the worst. I feel like a terrible person. This is what happens when we do a late night show. But I'll tell you this. You know how this is a terrible example. I'm so sorry, but I can't think of another one. You know O.J. Simpson?
Yeah.
Back in the day, somebody told him something about about black people and white people, and he said something like, "I'm not black, I'm OJ," or something like that. And there was something like that. I don't remember the
He rose
exact
above his he
right,
rose
like
above his
right. He's like, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Like I'm like, I'm don't put me in that category, whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know what the quote is. I remember over the years hearing that quote a few times that I may be misquoting. Again, I'm not saying Peter Dinklage did not is not likely to have done bad criminal things like OJ, but I'm saying this kind of idea of like he's better than that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a little
Well,
person, I'm Peter Dinklage or whatever it is. And he actually, by being the way he is, he actually cost a lot of people that are like him work, because he's the one that started this with complaining about Snow White. And then I think that was like a ripple effect that also affected later this Time Bandits thing, by him speaking up and saying how like offensive it is that they're hiring little people. Now they don't want to hire them. Not only that, in the past, like little people, and I know this again, this is an insidery thing that I know just because I've met people in this category. They would have these kind of holiday commercials. Now you may think, oh, it's very stereotypical. They're hiring them to be like elves or whatever in Santa's workshop. But you know what? There's a lot of commercials with Santa working in his workshop.
hmm,
Do you get what I'm trying to say? At the end of the day, there's people that wanted to feed their families, and they're working in entertainment, and they knew that when it comes to the holidays, these are times that a lot of them can get work. Often, often this was
hmm,
the time where like they, especially ones that are consistently working in entertainment, these would be their like highlights of the year. But now, because of all the sort of woke stuff, They don't want to give them that, so they don't invite them to the commercials. You see, like Christmas things, he's no longer with like elves in a workshop. He's just like, I don't know. I don't know what workarounds
Yeah.
they do, but you don't see that anymore almost at all. Then on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they don't even want to hire the Seven Dwarfs. Time Bandits with show about dwarfs, they don't want to hire dwarfs. And there were people that auditioned. Now, like they hired Lisa Kudrow from Friends or something.
So
I
yeah,
think
didn't
that
Disney like go? Didn't Disney go out of their way to not hire dwarves? Like first they had regular people, and then they were going to see. Now they're CGIing dwarves in there.
Yeah, and the thing is, and again, and this is another insidery thing, they in both movies initially auditioned little people for those roles. Meaning, there's also people that like got notifications that they're either in the running or maybe even were told. This I don't know a person that directly was told that they got it, but maybe they were even told somebody like you got the role. Um, I know one person that actually did some auditioning, and that person for one of the projects at least advanced a few stages. Uh, I assume that there were some people that probably thought that they were going to be in this movie, and then they got a call from their agent saying, "You're not going to get paid. You're not going to be able to, feed your family. You're not going to get any money."
Hmm.
Peter Dinklage is very offended, so we're going to replace you with some douchey hipster that's average size. That's what
Wow.
happened, and and then oddly, they probably went to those douchey hipsters and said, "Listen, we're replacing you with a CGI dwarf now," which is
Yep.
even more ridiculous. It's so stupid. Uh,
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like what was it? Peter Dinklage totally could have been a dwarf in that movie. I'm just saying it would have been hilarious. I bet that would have added to it. Like maybe if he played Grumpy or something.
he doesn't want that. The
I
the
know he
real
doesn't want it, but like man, he would have been
the
great.
real thing there is that like he felt it was beneath him that they even like there is a rumor, at least for one of those, that maybe they reached out and asked him to be in it. I don't know which one or
Yeah.
what, but apparently, like him being offered these type of roles, and that's like the OJ thing. He considers that very offensive. He doesn't want to
Hmm.
be in any role that acknowledges, maybe that he's smaller. And like you said, the MCU thing, they made him huge, so it was like a workaround. Like he's like the hugest thing ever. Uh,
Hmm.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's apparent that a lot of people view representation differently. Not everybody who is of a minority or who is a dwarf is going to be pleased with being represented on screen. Sometimes they just want to have their individual and best roles that they can have that has nothing to do with representation. So not everybody is on the same page when it comes to people wanting to be represented. Not everybody wants it. Peter Dinklage is probably one of the best uh, dwarf actors ever,
No,
but
I
he
mean,
doesn't want to be in Snow White.
right. I mean,
So
listen, I can understand if he thinks he doesn't need to be in Snow White and he doesn't have to accept the roles, but to take that step further and to actually cause a lot of people that are competing over such few roles, there's
mhm.
like it's such slim pickings for people in that category, and that he would wipe it out completely with his complaining. I don't think that's nice at all. And from what I've seen, people in that community are not very excited about him doing that. And it's like, and this is another thing. I don't know if I said it.
Well, that's
He
interesting.
doesn't like to be in movies where there's again this was something that somebody told me, grain of salt, but it was more of a somebody that is in the know. Um, he doesn't like it when he's in a movie with other little people.
Hmm.
Like for
Is that
him,
is that because is that because he doesn't is that because he wants to be the center, or is it because he just doesn't want to be a part
he's
on
OJ.
that bandwagon?
He's OJ.
Well,
You know what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of mean, but I still think he would have made a great Grumpy though.
Okay, here this is the quote. I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm OJ.
Yeah,
Or in some other
I'm Peter
places
Dinklage.
yeah, or in some other cases he actually is just quoted saying I'm not black, I'm OJ. But yeah, a lot of places say I'm not black, I'm OJ. So I guess that's probably the quote. What I said. I
Mm.
actually you did a good quote. I did a good job here.
He did a great job, man. I'm
It
proud.
didn't look like it. It didn't look like it, but really I did.
But But yeah, I mean, well, is OJ saying that because he doesn't view himself as black, just views himself as a regular guy, or because it's his ego and just his position and fame?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to be like pigeonholed as that. He wants to be like a guy that you could have any role in your movie and you would consider him. I respect
Mm,
that aspect of it, but I think that there's also something that you can't completely forget where you came from, and to try to sort of turn your back on that community because you think you're better than them is sort of a strange thing, and then costing them work.
yeah. Wait. So just to clarify, how did he cost them work?
Well, basically, if initially both of these projects were actually auditioning little people who, in my opinion, I know, like I said, I know one person that went through a number of stages. I assume that some of these people already got accepted, meaning they got roles, which there aren't a lot. If you're like a little person, if you're 4 feet tall, you're
Mhm.
waiting for the day that somebody makes seven wives, seven Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, seven wives, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You're
Yeah.
waiting for that day. You're waiting for Time Bandits. Like for you, that there's suddenly Time Bandits and you can go audition, that's like a celebration. So the fact that
Okay.
he then went to the newspaper and he started saying, I don't get why they make these movies with these dwarfs. Like it's offensive that they think that all these dwarfs are walking around and living in a house together. He started complaining like to all these newspapers about like he doesn't like how Hollywood are casting like, dwarfs in these roles. But he was in a position that he could talk because he's sort of the number one person in that category that gets offered like the best roles. But anybody that's like struggling to make ends meet and they're just itching to like be dopey or sneezy or whatever it is, he screwed them over because after his
Mm,
interview that he went and he whined to everybody about how offensive it is, all these studios started changing their policy and they're like, we don't want to offend anybody. Peter Dinklage, he
wow.
represents that community. We don't want to. He says it's offensive. We don't want to offend anybody. And a lot of little people were like, "No, he doesn't. He doesn't represent us at all. He doesn't even like us."
Wow.
So that's how he cost them work. And
I see. So he was whining, and then they changed their policies because
because
the
of his
offense thing.
whining, yes, as a direct result of his whining to the newspapers, more than whining, sort of accusing these studios of being ists and phobes and whatever, because the way they cast people in these roles, he basically eliminated all the potential casting of these roles.
Mm. Yeah, that sucks. That's a yeah. Because I can't remember the last time I saw a dwarf in a movie. That is weird. It's so but they're trying to hire dwarves for this one. They're going the authentic route for what is it, Time Bandits?
Yeah, I guess.
No dwarfs. No. That's what the title says, so no, I just answered my own question. No dwarfs in Taika Waititi's Time Bandits remake. So it's pointless. The movie's pointless. Taika Waititi sucks, dude. Like
Yeah.
ever since Love and Thunder, I don't even care about that dude. He's writing a
Honestly, I
Star
never
Wars
liked
movie.
this
Like,
guy. I'll
yeah,
be honest with you,
congrats.
I never really liked this guy, to be honest.
Like he just sucks as a person, and I hope he finds the Lord. But I gotta say, man, his take on Thor, that last movie, and the way that he talks about how he can just go in and screw everything up and he won't care. That's just like that's not the kind of guy you want working for you. I know Disney saw that when he said that, and they're still having him write a Star Wars movie, I guess.
I don't
Man,
think that Star Wars is ever gonna do anything. I think he's finished. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's one of those people, he just pops up, you can't get rid of him, but I think he's finished.
well, yeah. What does this say? Are they doing CGI dwarves again?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically no, in Amazon they hired average sized people. In the Ziegler movie, they first of all hired average sized people and then they painted like CGI people over the average sized people. That's going to be a headache to do.
Man, that's just a lot of money, man.
A
You
lot of
could have
money
just
thrown around. They could have just made the thing the way it is and avoided all this nonsense.
I mean, you could. It would probably cost it'd probably be just as costly to do it the Snow White and the Huntsman movie way, where they had the guy from Shaun of the Dead, the guy who plays Ed, his best friend. I think it's like Nick Frost or something like that. Something Frost, and they did what they did was they CGI or they put his head on like a dwarf's body, or maybe they created the illusion of it. But I mean, I guess you could do that too, but you could just hire dwarves, man. I'm sure, like Price said, a lot of people waiting for their big break, and it's just horrible what they're doing with these policies. Like, it sucks that it's Peter Dinklage's fault, but I guess when you're when you're famous and you feel entitlement like that, just whatever.
I can't believe that I likened him to OJ, but it's not unsimilar.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't really seen Peter Dinklage in anything recently either. I think he was ever since
He was
Game of
in that
Thrones
stupid
season
Hunger
8.
Games prequel.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that one. I forgot he was in that movie.
I saw that terrible movie. It was so boring. And now today they announced that they're making another Hunger Games prequel, a different Hunger Games prequel.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think they said it. How many of these stupid prequels do I actually need? Let me see.
As many as it takes to destroy the franchise, which I think that was already done.
The one thing I'll say is I never thought much of this franchise to begin with.
I thought it was all right. I think the last 2 movies I was just kind of falling off a bit, but I thought that I thought they were great for their time. I thought the first one was good.
I think that the only one that I thought was mildly acceptable was that first movie. That was probably the only one. As you went to like the second and third and whatever, it was like just diminishing returns, and completely I lost interest in it. The first one, there was something somewhat interesting about it. That's the best. That's the best that franchise ever got. Anything from there was downhill. That one with Rachel Ziegler was a complete snooze. And Peter Dinklage was in it. He wasn't bad in it. I mean, it was a rather minor role, but he was in it. He wasn't bad in it, but that movie was terrible.
Yep. So they're making another one. So is this going to be a prequel to Songbirds or whatever that Ziegler one was? Or is it going to be another just so done? I just don't see what more kind of story can you tell, unless you're just trying to make everyone look weirder and act weirder and just push more agenda stuff. Like, what's the point?
I'm trying to understand where in the timeline this thing even goes, and I still can't figure it out. But it doesn't even matter, really.
How many Hunger Games books are there? 4 books? That's it? If I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me, chat. But I don't know, man. I don't see what more can be told. I feel like they did everything, and the last movie wasn't even that good. I know people hated it.
Yeah, I mean that's
also bombed.
The Songbird ones with Ziegler, for me, more than anything, I felt it was boring.
Yeah.
I wanted, it's like what I was telling you yesterday, that like when something is like awful, like, but no, it didn't have the same weight for me. It's not like it's a Star Wars thing. I really wanted to sleep when I went to the theater, and I think like I was drinking a lot of caffeine before.
Yeah.
I suspected that this would be difficult. I had like this big like, cup of a lot of like caffeine in it, like, some maybe Coke or something with sugar and caffeine. I'm like, you can't fall asleep in this. You gotta professionally review this thing. And I didn't fall asleep, but man, did I want to.
Yeah.
Also theaters, like, I don't know why theaters, they have like the reclining seats, some of them, and like you're kind of reclining and resting. And
we have those at mine.
It's so tempting when the movie is awful. You're like, oh, I could just doze off here. It really wants you to do that, especially if the movie is terrible, boring, and annoying. It's like it's inviting you to fall asleep.
Yeah. I actually really love those reclining seats, especially if you can like order a cheeseburger. My theater, you can order pizzas and you can order cheeseburgers, and you can even order alcohol if you're into that sort of thing. I don't personally drink, but you can easily go in there and just get all these crazy looking drinks that they serve. It's expensive though. But dude, sometimes the burgers are really good. And if you watch a bad movie, sometimes reclining back and just eating a burger and just getting the itis and passing out. It's a great night, man.
For sure.
Oh, also, Price, we have E. Clay Thomason in here and Adam Gray. And E. Thomason says, I like his original stories, but he seems like a nasty person. Was that
Not
Peter
sure.
Dinklage or Taika Waititi? Anyway, the
That was
Notorial
Taika.
Lifeform. He says, Price, Kyle, look out. That toaster is evil. Aren't you like on an airplane right now? At an airport? And then I Have Nautic said, we are watching the afterbirth of every franchise. Actually, that's what it feels like. It feels like just everything's being remade and just like the afterbirth. It's like everything's burning down and rising up as a phoenix, but the phoenix is just a rainbow. And
Well, it was
Sorry, Bryce.
Clay Thomason was talking about Taika. No, nothing. I was just clarifying. He thought that he seemed like a jerk, Taika Waititi, and he does seem like a
Okay.
jerk.
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't know why this makes me laugh. When I knew that there's that person that was auditioning for that Time Bandits thing, and they said, it's Taika Waititi, and I said, well, around my circles, he's known more as Taika Woke Titty, and that
Wow.
really is what like people call him. And the other person like couldn't understand what I meant. And I think now that they canceled all the little people role, maybe that person does understand what I meant. He is
Yeah.
absolutely Taika Woke Titty.
That is quite the name.
I'm so happy that I told that person. That person was so excited. They're like, I'm going to audition for Taika Woke Titty. That's what I said. And that was like my mic drop moment. And I feel like I did it.
I imagine he was really wacky to work with, because that's the word that Chris Hemsworth uses to describe him. He doesn't want to work for wacky directors in the future.
I want to answer this. Kivo1961, why no more movie reviews, Price? Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't stopped making movie reviews. What happened is that I think it was around March. I was sick, for a number of weeks, and I was really struggling to, balance between the streams and also make those videos. Then I had, surprisingly, and I don't know how this happened, I kind of became sick again for a few weeks. So again, it kind of took the wind out of my sails.
Dang.
But I'm really hoping that maybe starting next week, I'm going to try to be more consistently doing reviews. I really enjoy doing those reviews, but it's just a lot of stuff was happening and it was just a bit difficult for me. But I do want to get back to doing that, and I know at least there's some people out there that enjoy the reviews. So for you guys, well, that you're my viewer. Well, but aside from you, maybe a few other people will enjoy it too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just. I'm not. These remakes are just awful. Snow White is going to be. That's going to be a disaster of epic proportions.
It feels like they never want to release it. It's like a disaster that they keep delaying over and over again, hoping that it never sees the light of day. The Notorial Lifeform says, "I'm going to smash your mythos in a minute, baby." Yeah, he actually said that.
Yep.
He's just such an arrogant, douchey guy.
And he did too. He came in and destroyed Thor. Ragnarok, people can say what they want. It wasn't that bad, in my opinion. Like, it was heavy on the comedy, and Valkyrie was just kind of. But that movie, what I think there was actually substance there. Like Thor: Love and Thunder, that was his tweet just manifested.
No, I think that Ragnarok. Here's the thing with Ragnarok. I didn't know anything about the movie, like what it was going to be walking into it. Didn't even take really interest. Even at that time, I didn't really care. Taika Waititi, whatever. I didn't watch his movies. I know that some people love his movies. For me, I've seen like trailers or whatever his movies, and it looks like movies that I don't want to watch. That's me personally. I mean, if you watch his regular original movies and you think he's a genius, I know some people like that. I personally saw the trailers to his movies and I thought, this doesn't speak to me. Maybe if I watch it, I feel different. I don't know. I didn't think anything before going to Ragnarok. I didn't think it would be good or bad or anything. But when I saw it, I was pleasantly surprised in the sense I didn't mind that it was a little more, a little bit more comedy than the previous movies. but at the same time, it was something that I felt that I could see it once, but I didn't want the whole franchise to take that route.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of
Yeah,
being
they
some
really
kind of
leaned into that.
right, they learned all the wrong lessons from it. They did it, and they're like, "Wow, this Taika Waititi is a genius. Let's make the entire MCU just like this stupid movie." And you could get away with it once as sort of an anomaly, as sort of a. It has him and Hulk there, like on that planet, and look, it's fine. But I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like this is now what you need to make your entire brand. And they learned all the wrong lessons. So
No, it was a nice third movie, but that's the problem. They took all that comedy and then they tried to just expand on that instead of just letting that be its own story, with the Taika Waititi's vision, and that was it. But yeah, but then he came back and made Thor: Love and Thunder anyway, and I don't even know what
So
the heck that
somebody,
movie is.
Rita Ibn Muhammad says, surprised you are both not discussing Bad Boys 4. Not really. The truth is, I'm going to try to see
Oh,
Bad Boys 4 this weekend. I just didn't get around to it.
is it
But
good? I'm hearing it's good.
you know, I like the third one. I don't know if the fourth one is good or not. I'm hoping it is good. I'm not going in there hoping that it's bad. I like the previous movies. Yes, I know Will Smith made a mistake with his slap. Yes, I know a lot of people, he's fallen out of favor with a lot of people. I also think that, when I see that he married that wife and what I told you about his wife and all that, it hasn't helped his image. He certainly looks kind of like, he certainly lost some of that Will Smith image and charm just by associating with his wife. I know it sounds awful, but that's what I think.
Yeah,
Uh, I
yeah.
explained to you the thing with his wife and Tupac. Remember when I explained that to you?
I know we actually I think we had a long conversation about that, and
Yes. So
yeah, that dude, I don't know what to think about Will Smith. I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes there, but I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
I
Maybe
mean,
like separate the art from the artist and enjoy the movie anyway. But as
yeah,
far as like Will Smith as a person, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it really damaged. Listen, I'm not saying he was a perfect guy before, but there was this feeling that he's kind of a decent, likable guy. And man, if there was ever a woman that just ruins like reputations and you know r- destroyed like his image completely, it's like it's that wife of his. I'm sorry, and I sound like such a jerk
Mhm.
saying it, but it
I
is
don't
true.
disagree. I don't disagree. I just like the longer he's with her, I'm sure that he's seen all the people telling him like, man, you got to get away.
Yeah,
But
this
he's
is
staying.
the bad wife, and I told you I won't get into the whole conversation again, but just for the people that missed it, and maybe they don't know, years ago, when Will Smith was trying to be like a rapper, but he was a rapper that people were saying he was too clean. He
Mm,
wasn't cursing in his songs. He was more kind of like a wholesome, more clean cut, more whatever. On his show, he did like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. They kind of saw him as not like urban and badass enough. And meanwhile he was selling like a bunch of either records or his shows or whatever it is, like everything was going great for him. But the more urban factions of his community didn't look upon him as if he's like, I guess he didn't have this type of credibility that he wanted with them, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
So what happened is that Jada Pinkett Smith used to be some type of girl friend. I don't know, with Tupac. Did he have
Mhm.
girlfriends? But she had something going on with Tupac, and Tupac was considered badass. And I think that Will Smith at the time thought to himself, "Oh, like she may have been with Tupac, but now she's with me." Like as if putting him and
Mm.
Tupac in the same place. They're both badass. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, you should just be Will Smith. You don't have to pretend you're Tupac. And and I think that Pinkett Smith was more suitable for Tupac than she is for Will Smith.
They're both far more popular than she is.
That's for sure. But for starters, I'm going to get into so much trouble here. This is terrible what I'm saying. For starters, I'm trying to imagine her like babbling nonsense to like Tupac. I feel like Tupac would not take any of her crap. Like
No,
I
you
feel
don't
like
think so?
I think he wouldn't take any of it, and I think he probably got rid of her. That's probably the only way like Will Smith could even move in on her. Probably like I think Tupac like said like, "Why do I need this headache? Let's get rid of her. Like I don't want her here."
Wow.
And then for years, I think my impression is that for years, when there aren't cameras around, Jada Pinkett Smith would tell Will Smith, Tupac was here, he'd stand up for me. For Tupac was here, he wouldn't let people talk to him that way. I feel like for years she just whispers that in his ear. Maybe even at those Oscars, like she said, like if Tupac was here, he wouldn't let somebody talk to me like that.
What the
And
heck, man?
that's
Yeah.
my theory. If she doesn't say it, I think that's the vibe that he gets. That's like it's always he's like not as good as Tupac.
Well, yeah, there's definitely something going on there. He's being belittled behind the scenes. No doubt about it. That slap was just insane. It's funny because he was, it was because of her disapproval too, because he laughed right before he walked out there. He was laughing 1 second, and then the next he
It
wasn't.
was funny. He was just being, he's just whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it all doesn't matter now, but really considering all the stuff that wife did that year, that she was cheating with a friend of the son and all that, Chris Rock had like 70 jokes that were like far more risque and like badass to tell. Instead, he told like the most vanilla joke. It was nothing.
Yeah.
It was a toss away joke. Um, Anyhow,
rather
with this
normal
Bad
joke.
Boys thing, I like those movies, and I'll give that movie a chance. I'm not going in wanting to not like it, but I don't want to say anything. I haven't seen it. I don't want to pass judgment. I'll see it and I'll say if I liked it or not. But now
I'll
I
check it
can't
out
say.
too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
I'm
check
sure
it out.
how bad can it be? I'm sure there's worse movies than it. It probably is not going to be the worst. I saw like some really bad movies recently. I think this
Mhm.
probably will be better than at least some of them.
What is this one? Ride or Die, right? It's like, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, they basically should have called this one Bad Boys for Life, but because it's 4, and then they
Oh,
should
that
have
would have been
been
great.
right. That would have been the right thing to do, but instead they called number 3 Bad Boys for Life because they probably didn't think they'd ever get a number 4.
Well, we're getting a 67% from critics and 98% from audience.
Interesting.
That means it's probably decent.
I'm not going in there to not like it. I like the third one. I don't know what the critics thought about it. I enjoyed myself in the third one. I am hopeful this is good. It's not like I'm sitting around and I want to dislike Will Smith. There's a part of me that feels bad for him. I feel like he married a woman that's terrible for him. He hasn't been able to get a divorce from her. I don't know why. And
Yeah,
and
I think
he
he needs
just
to get away from her.
I think so too. I think that alone would like boost his image something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, give her a Bible. Give her a Bible.
I would divorce her, and then I would go to the press and say, listen, I had a difficult marriage. I should have gotten out of that marriage years ago. It affected me in a negative way. I did something bad there in the Oscars. I blah blah blah. Say a few things. You got rid of her. You're sorry about the Oscars. I think if somebody would have at least, maybe forgiven him a little.
I think that's a great thing for him to do. I think if he just divorced her
Yeah,
and then
it's
and
not
go
too
up and
late. Not too late.
yeah, you just be like, hey, yeah, sorry, man, I acted bad, and it's been a while, but like people
I was
love when you're
married.
honest. Like that.
Listen, first of all, a lot of men would understand it. I was married to such a witch. She's a terrible person. She did some terrible things. It was an unhealthy place for me to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. She's the mother of his children, so maybe you shouldn't call her a witch. But you could just say, like, listen, I was in a really bad marriage that was bad for me. Wasn't in a good place. I made mistakes, and like the thing with Chris Ross was a mistake, and I want to apologize. I'm sincere about it, and want to move on with my life. I think people would have been okay. The fact that he
Yeah.
continued to stay with her, and she's so snivelly and annoying. I don't know if snivelly is the right word, but there's something about her that I just don't like. I just see her, and I don't like her.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't know if she's a good person or not. Personally, that's how I feel. I've
yeah, I know
also
enough about her. I know enough about her from interviews and whatnot, and just seeing her in action. I'm just
I've never liked her. It's also like even back in the day when he was young, and they're like, "This is Will Smith, and he's marrying Jada Pinkett, whatever." I'm like, why? Even then, even like as a young lad that saw it, I'm like, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is marrying her, and this is even just me being like really superficial. Like,
yeah.
she's not all that. You know what I mean? If they would have said the Fresh Prince is marrying like Halle Berry, I would have been like, okay, yeah, the Fresh Prince, like he's on top of his game. But like, what Pinkett Smith? That's like the Jada Pinkett, whatever. Now she's Smith, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Jada Pinkett, that's like that's his big catch because Tupac didn't want to be with her. I don't know, man.
Well, this is the result.
Adam Gray says, Will Smith isn't fit to wipe Tupac's butt. Will in
Nice.
03, he's religious and doesn't want a divorce. He's stuck and she knows it.
Wow.
Chris was raised better. I don't know which Chris.
Chris Rock.
Ah, yes. I think that Chris Rock, as much as he could handle, even him, as much as I think he bounced back sort of and he did the best he could under the circumstances. Also, people will always remember that thing with him. And that's unfortunate because he really didn't deserve that.
Yep. Well, he definitely didn't slap somebody on stage in front of
Daisy
everyone.
Blossom says Jada was involved in the Cleopatra movie documentaries. Yes, and it's so on
Oh, yeah.
brand for her. So
yeah, that was the most narcissistic project ever.
Clay Thomason says
false.
Clay Thomason said, "What kind of guy just stands there, gets slapped though? The whole thing still doesn't sit right with me." I mean, first of all, I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you. I think that Chris Rock was like supposed to be emceeing. He's like the host. He's a professional. This guy comes and slaps him. He thought that Will Smith was coming to like joke around with him. I think he really didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think, let's be honest,
was
Chris
probably
Rock.
hurt.
I mean, Chris Rock is. I don't feel that he's as strong as Will Smith. I feel like Will Smith is significantly stronger than Chris Rock. I don't know if he should have slapped Will back. I don't know what he should have done. But in his eyes, he just tried to remain professional and continue his monologue or whatever it was. And
yeah, I saw him as just trying to be professional and just keep his composure. And he probably had his feelings hurt too, because it was like Price said that he was probably coming up there. He thought that he was coming up there to probably do something funny, and he ended up slapping him. So he was probably hurt. But as much as we would all like to see Chris Rock suplex Will Smith in response, I just don't think that. I just don't think it would have been the best idea.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of just he does not come up. I feel like in some way he comes off the bigger man here. Told his joke, the guy slapped him for no reason. He continued his monologue. It's a terrible thing, I don't know. It's and really, it also says something about how comedians can't even tell half a joke anymore. I mean, that was nothing. That joke, that was nothing. There was nothing that justified that behavior.
It was a tame joke.
Totally tame. And the other thing is that they're like, he should have known that Jada has alopecia. How should he have known? Who? Because they're like, she once talked about it on her show on Facebook. She had this kind of live stream on Facebook. Yeah, I'm sure you want to tell me Chris Rock 24/7 sits around and watches her streams on Facebook. If she mentioned it once, he probably just didn't know. You know what I mean? He probably thought that was just like the haircut she wanted to do that month. And he probably just thought of it on the spot, just looking at them as an improv. You know what I mean? He probably didn't even think much of it.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, Joshua Calkins saying he didn't expect a serious hit. I really think that until the last moment, Chris Rock thought this is sort of a joke. You know what I mean? He thought that Will Smith is coming to do something funny, and they're both in the mix. And when Will Smith slapped him like that, he understood that this isn't a joke, that the guy is serious.
Yeah. Plus, he screamed at him after. He's like, keep my wife's name out your mouth.
The Nerdporio life form says alopecia ain't no joke. I'm not saying that it is a joke. I'm saying that I don't know that he knew anything about that. Basically, she's kept that kind of short hair. If on one stream she once said she had it, I don't think it's something I didn't know. I don't think that I knew that she had alopecia or anything. I don't know exactly what the deal. It's not like something that everybody in Hollywood was talking about, and then he came and he made a joke about it. Maybe he could have chosen a different joke. Maybe he didn't know, but I don't think he was malicious.
I mean, okay, alopecia is serious, but that doesn't mean that Will Smith should have walked up there and slapped Chris Rock in front of everybody. just and then screamed at him like that after. I mean, that's
Right.
something you could easily resolve.
He also didn't make fun of her alopecia. I think he just looked at the room and she had a haircut that was like very kind of a buzz cut. Not that you don't have hair, she has hair. So it kind of looks like a buzz cut. So he said, "Oh, it's like G.I. Jane." Who even remembers
Yeah.
that reference? A movie 20 years ago that Demi Moore had like a buzz cut because she was like a soldier. I mean, it's like a toss away nothing joke.
Yeah, and it's not even a bad thing. It's just whatever. You look like G.I. Jane. G.I. Jane was a good movie. I don't see the problem. But
The
yeah, just like
Notorial
him.
Lifeform says, "Price, I was kidding." I kind of figured you were, but I had to still address it. But yeah, I mean, no, but I'm also saying that maybe somebody has it and it's a serious thing. I'm not completely dismissing it, but I think that pinning this on Chris Rock, that he should have searched, the old live streams from Facebook to learn that she has it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. 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 Don't worry, Nerd Portal. We knew you were being facetious, but it is an interesting subject, regardless.
Regardless, it is. So I'm gonna have to check out that movie. I'm hoping that it won't be a disaster, but who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else before we move to some of these. Trying to find anything interesting that maybe we missed.
Well, there's definitely something going on in the digital creator world, though. That's for certain.
Yeah. We can I guess get to that. Well, the one final thing, the legendary. Let's see if you see this. Legendary's Godzilla and Kong follow-up finds new director in Grand Sputor.
Who?
Grand Spitore? The filmmaker is known for the 2019 Hilary Swank sci-fi movie I Am Mother. I have not
Grant
seen I Am Mother.
Spooter?
Yeah, Grand Spooter.
I was kidding. That's probably not what it's pronounced, but
Spitore. That probably like I don't know. It looks like Spooter.
Sputtery.
Anyhow, he came up from the world of commercials. That's never good. And we're used most of the time it's not good. He did the I Am Mother with Hilary Swank. I don't know what that is. Did you watch I Am Mother?
I've seen I Am Mother. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't like.
Did you
see
see
it?
it?
It was a Netflix movie.
Did you see it and think, wow, this guy, he has to do like Godzilla movies?
No, I completely forgot who he was. I don't even remember seeing his name on the movie. I did see the movie. I thought it was okay, but I mean, you could pick worse directors, I suppose. I mean, these movies haven't exactly been critical hits.
But after Godzilla -1, it's a shame that they can't actually hire really good directors for this.
They find these directors that make it like decent movies in the past, and they give them their big break. We'll see. I mean, I go and watch these. I don't know if I care about seeing Kong anymore. I kind of just want to see other monsters, and I don't think that Godzilla and Kong being teamed up for like 6 movies is a good idea. But I don't hate the movies. I think that they're just mindless fun. Lots of CGI battles and whatnot, but it's not the worst thing. It's just as long as you don't go in there expecting them to blow you away with dialogue or story or whatnot, then you'll probably have a good time. But that's how I see those Godzilla movies. We actually just watched -1 again the other day because it's on
I did
Netflix
too.
now.
I did too, and I loved it again.
Yeah, same. Great movie.
It says that they changed the line in the English dub. I didn't listen to the English dub. I watched it in Japanese again.
They changed the line?
She says, okay, right at the end of the flick, Shikishima gets the shock of his life when he learns that his love of life is still alive. He rushes to the hospital, and the pair share an emotional moment, and Noriko asking Shikishima, is your war finally over? And in the English version, what did they do? In the dub, she says, can this war of yours be over soon, finally be done?
What the
Why?
heck?
Why would they change that? I thought that the way that whatever the Japanese one was perfect. Why did they need to say that?
Is your war finally over? I mean that completes what she was saying earlier,
It's
or
much
what he was saying
more
earlier.
poetic to say, can this war of yours be over soon, finally be done? This sounds like this kind of anime, this South Park.
So they're doing that English dub thing again, where they change the context to make it look like she's annoyed with him.
I guess.
Man, dude.
That's such a terrible way to end the movie.
Yeah, you watch that in English dub, you're gonna completely have your context ruined.
Anyhow, it topped the charts for Netflix, and it really was doing well there. Now they're saying that some movie has dethroned it. I can't believe somebody would dethrone it. It's such a good movie. But
I guess it had to happen. I don't know. It was added rather recently. I would expect it to be number one for at least a week or so.
Let's see. Under Parts. I don't even know what the flip that is. Under Paris.
Under Paris. So that's Greta Thunberg's documentary or something.
I don't know. I think it's a shark movie. Maybe. I hope it's not a. If it's a Greta Thunberg movie and she dethroned like Godzilla -1, we're in real trouble. I'm hoping that it's sort of a movie about sharks or something.
I'm probably wrong on this one.
I think so. I think I can't believe that would. There's
probably
no way
connected
that would
two wrong
dethrone her.
dots.
There's no way that would dethrone her.
What is this about? It's so weird.
Let's see if I can find what Under Parts is about.
The plot follows the terror caused by a monstrous shark prowling the city, creating chaos amidst the excitement of the sporting event. Okay, so it's just thinking about.
It's not.
So what is this? Another Sharknado situation?
Is it called Under Paris? What is Under Parts? What is Under Paris? Okay. Netflix viewers argue new shark film Under Paris can rival Jaws.
Really?
Calling it
Okay.
one of the best shark movies ever made. At last, a shark movie worthy of swimming in the wake of Jaws.
I had to say sorry to chat for that one. That was way off.
I mean, listen. I'll watch the movie if they say it's that good, but come on, Jaws.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. Jaws, man.
I don't see
it's
it.
probably decent, but whatever. I'll see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check it out. I have no reason not to, but I'm not that excited at the same time. Now before where was that thing that we were looking at before? Here it is. Maybe now's a good time to check out our.
Yep. And by the way, Joshua Calkins, I loved Deep Blue Sea. I do love that movie. I liked it. I guess it means that E. Clay Thomason, I think it means that there's a shark under Paris swimming around.
I guess.
Yeah. Yep, here we go.
And I guess right now, this is the article. Maybe you can shed some light on it. Can you see what's going on?
Sure. Yeah, so Adobe users are outraged over vague new policies' AI implications. So what happened was, and I can't verify anybody's claims here because there's two sides to this whole situation. The guy who is in charge of sustainment has tried to clarify on a few things, but a lot of people aren't believing him for whatever reason. And I haven't looked into it enough, but I do know they basically went into their policies for Adobe or whatever, and they changed them to reflect that anything you create, they can basically have access to, and they can review it. And a lot of people think that that's an invasion of privacy, which they're correct. Apparently, those rules have always been there. The guy who's like in charge of that area or is in the know and is an employee, he's saying that those things have always been there, but they've been recently rephrased. But what is happening here is basically anything that you create inside of Photoshop or Adobe CC Premiere. And by the way, I have a subscription to Adobe Express, so I have everything. So I have Photoshop, I have Illustrator, because I'm trying to get into animation. I've been trying to learn how to animate things and do cartoons and stuff behind the scenes. But I might have to cancel. I don't know. I'm going to look more into it. But what I'm seeing here is people don't want their privacy invaded. They're worried that even though these people are saying that they won't do it, there is a potential that they could have access to our materials. It says that they do have access to our materials. The employee says, well, that doesn't mean that we will do it. We're not going to. It's mainly for people who intentionally submit their work for review, or in certain cases, certain specific cases. I'm not sure. Now, I'm not defending either side. I know that Grums is really heavy on this subject. He's been really into this problem, and he's been citing his law degree. So he's been taking some law knowledge into the situation, and he thinks that the guy is BSing. So I'm not sure what to think until I read into it myself. But there's definitely a question to be raised on whether this is actually a big deal or not. I'm not sure yet. If it's always been there and people just didn't know about it until now because it was rephrased and somebody pointed it out, then I mean, you guys did buy it, including myself. I didn't know anything about those policies. I never really thought about. I think the argument is that they're doing this because they want AI data. They want to implement AI tools, and they want to gather as much data as they can, and they feel that this is the best way. But the employees say that this is not the case. This is not what they're doing. It's for specific cases mostly. And even though it says it has access, it's a little more broad than that. It's a little broader than that. But then people are saying that that's a problem because it's too broad of a statement. It's too broad of a requirement. So it affects a lot of people. And it does say that in there. It's not like it's not there and people are making it up. That is in the policy. It might actually show the policy on this article, if I'm not mistaken. Do you have it? Or does it say that on the article?
Oh wait, hold on. Let me see for a second. Pop-up news. We may access your content through both manual and automated methods, such as for content review.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. So we may access and that is really broad. Clarified that we may access your content through both automated and manual methods, such as for content review. Now they say that this is for specific content, and they're basically saying, "Trust me, bro, we won't do this." But I think that people are justified in calling this out, and a lot of people are asking them to just change the terms of service to not be such a broad statement and clarify how specific of a thing it is. Grums is
Also,
like, well, just cancel your Adobe, and
well,
some people would.
That's an easy thing. If you use those software things, it's not easy to just stop using them. But this other thing, our automated systems may analyze your content in Creative Cloud customer fonts defined in Section 3.0, Creative Cloud customer fonts below, using techniques such as machine learning in order to improve our services and software and the user experience. This seems like AI can just look at whatever work you did, learn from it, and then it'll know how to do it, which if it's doing that is really like a crummy feeling.
True. You showed Backyard TARDIS's comment. I actually thought that was a good one. Adobe stuff is crazy. You could be making a photo for just yourself and get hit with violating terms of service. Yeah. I didn't actually know that. And I think a lot of people didn't. It's really interesting because the guy says that those policies have always been there. They were just worded differently. So yeah, I think, if anybody is using Adobe, then just consider that that's the kind of stuff that they could potentially have access to. They promise that they won't do it, but people are providing alternatives to Photoshop and to Illustrator and Adobe CC Premiere. I actually use DaVinci Resolve because years ago I bought a really cool camera because I'm into cinematography, and it came with like a lifetime sub of DaVinci Resolve. But you can actually have a free version to use of DaVinci Resolve to edit your stuff. And Photoshop, there are actually alternatives to those as well. I think there's it's kind of like I don't even know if it's a ripoff, but I think it's called Photopea. People use that. It's like an alternative to Photoshop. There are plenty of things out there you can use that are legal.
I'm sure some of them are good, but it's hard to
But
deny that the suite of programs like that, if from Adobe, it's a pretty good suite. I know maybe
yeah.
they're doing some annoying things with their policies, but if you have their kind of suite of software, it's a good one in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Angry Canadian says Affinity Designer is great as an Illustrator replacer. Cool. I didn't know about that one. So that's one that you guys
Didn't
can look
know.
at. Yeah. Some people are canceling. I've seen a lot of people cancel. I might cancel. I have to look into it. I got to see what's. I want to see what that guy on X is saying because they were in a long conversation about it. But I don't. I can't just outright call these people liars. If they really do say that it's like, it's hard because it's hard to navigate this stuff to see if people are telling the truth. But right now, that is the claim they're making. That it's for specific cases, and they're not gonna just go and critique and review and possibly they what was it they were saying they could do? They could sell your stuff, they could upload and sell your assets to other parties because they're saying basically that they own your content that you create in their programs. So I think that's what a lot of people have issue with because it takes away ownership of what you create and it basically gives it to them. So yeah, that it's a complex situation. I have to certainly look into it more, but and the reason I am is because I have Adobe. I have a huge subscription to it because I've been really trying to practice.
They have a good
So
suite of software. I know that sometimes you have you can find a lot of things, but I'm not saying that there isn't a replacement for it. There's probably a replacement for everything, but that suite and the way that different software you can use this and open the file here and open a file there,
yeah,
it's done in a way that's convenient. It's hard once you get used to it to something say no, I don't want it anymore.
yeah, yeah. It's man, this is truly a strange situation. But again, it's like been there. Apparently, it's been there a while. Who is it that said that in chat? Actually, I think it was E. Clay Thomason. I'm sure they use all of your work to train their AI too. If they've been in place, then that's probably what they've been doing. I know that they're in an AI race right now. All these different companies are trying to implement all these tools and gather all this data. So there's something to be said. I think hard to prove, but we can certainly be critical of this and ask them to reverse it. If you want to cancel, I mean, especially if you think that something malicious is going on and you're not getting the answers that you're looking for when you try to contact these guys, then yeah, I think that it's justifiable to want to cancel Adobe Express. There are probably much cheaper options. In fact, some people have listed some free options that are almost equal in quality to those programs you have to pay for Adobe. So, food for thought. And
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, we have that. Is there anything else in gaming that you wanted to touch upon today before we kind of wrap up?
Rocksteady might get shut down. That's a rumor being passed around. So the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League developer that worked with Sweet Baby Inc., who apparently did their character designs and a lot of their narrative work. That game has caused a huge financial downfall for them, and there's a rumor being passed around that they might shut down, but we'll see if that's true.
I mean, if it happens, again, I never like it when I think maybe of people that are just decent people losing their jobs. So I always try to, find that kind of balance. But
Yeah,
they would deserve to get shut down for making a game like that. And I know I'm not a huge gamer, but even I've seen the different scenes from it and know what's inside that game. And if
yeah,
I were still a gamer, that game would very much annoy me.
yeah. It had definitely annoyed me. I was actually 22 hours into the game, but I didn't really do much because I was just trying to, I don't know, make my own fun. But I never ended up beating the game. I just ended up watching somebody beat it because I'm just like, man, I can't keep playing this anymore. I think the biggest problem for me for that game was the repetition, but there is also the agenda stuff, which was prevalent in that game. And Rocksteady, it's funny because Warner Bros. Thought that this was apparently, I read about it today. They thought that this was going to be a huge moneymaker. And it's actually surprising that they thought that this would be a moneymaker because have they played the game? I don't know. I doubt it. But they definitely put too much trust in Rocksteady, which I believe are not the same Rocksteady that we used to know. I think the two guys that made those Batman games so good, I think they're gone now. And what you're left with is a shell of the company's former self. So if they shut down, it is what it is. They really thought that they were going to do a live service thing for a long period of time with like 13 different brainiacs and keep this game going. I mean, that's insane. Their character designs are insane too. The Joker, who they made extremely flamboyant and stupid, and then I kid you not, and I maybe you could pull it up just so you could show them, but Mrs. Freeze, which was going to be another playable character, I think it is another playable character in the Suicide Squad game. And I've never heard of Mrs. Freeze before. I don't know if she's in a comic, but that is the direction they went with, and it looks like the most butch haircut, Karen, woke individual you've ever seen. And they are a Mr. Freeze ripoff character. Is she gay? Maybe. I don't know, because I haven't actually played it far enough to be able to play as her, and I'm thankful. I feel bad for the people that have. But yeah, dude, Mrs. Freeze. I've never heard of Mrs. Freeze before. I've heard of Mr. Freeze and Nora.
Isn't Mr. Freeze because his wife died?
Yeah. You have to show him an image. It's actually really funny. Just look up Suicide Squad Mrs. Freeze, and it should pop right up. I think Hypnotic was reporting on it a while back too. Hypnotic and some other people. I didn't really care because I didn't. People were like, "Well, Dread, why didn't you report on it, dude?" Because I hate the game so much, I just don't even want to talk about it. That's why. Because I actually bought and played it because I just had to see for myself, and it's dead to me. But
Is
yeah,
it this?
no, that actually looks like a really pretty Mrs. Freeze. It looks like a normal Mrs. Freeze. Looks here. Is that so? There is a Mrs. Freeze in the comics. Well, whatever this Mrs. Freeze that they did was, it is nothing like what you are seeing in that photo right now. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Oh, I think I found it.
Yeah, you probably did.
Wait, it disappeared.
Oh yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, but they've already released like 2 more characters. That game isn't going anywhere. It's dead in the water. Actually, I'm going to look it up right now just so I can share with you guys how many people are playing it right now on Steam. You can make an argument for PlayStation or whatever else it's on. Steam. Yeah, there we go. And then Kill the Justice League. Sorry, guys. Fast typer, loud keyboard. If you'll indulge me for a minute. Okay, so the last people to play it. Oh my goodness. Current players 182.
That's not considered good, is it?
It's not. Well, especially if you're a live service game.
It feels like that game is dead in the water.
It is. It's probably why they're going to be shutting down, if it's true. But yeah, it's not a good deal. For
It
a caller
doesn't
when
sound like a good deal.
I'm going to send you a photo because I know where I can find a Mrs. Freeze photo. It's like, it's nothing. Like, you guys are like, hey, why does she look like that, dude? You haven't seen the game Mrs. Freeze yet. Like, that one is just something else. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to send this to you, Bryce.
Are you able to share? What happens when you try to share it?
I can try to share it.
Try to do where that button is, see if it shares it.
Let me see if I could share it. Let me see. Share, present. My computer. I don't know if I can do that. Share screen. There we go. Share screen. Let's do the Mrs. Freeze one. There it is. I think it's letting me share it. Boom.
It looks pretty bad, actually.
Yep, it's a new playable Mrs. Freeze. Chunky. Flabby cheeks. That haircut, though. Yep, that's Mrs. Freeze. So I don't think they're gonna add any more characters. If they do, just a shameless desperation act. I don't know. But yeah, if they shut down, I won't be surprised. I mean, that's like I've said this time and time again, it's one of the worst financial flops. It's probably the worst financial flop for a video game ever. Like, I've never seen a game be refunded so many times. I think the last time that happened was No Man's Sky years ago in 2016, but then they came back and ended up making it an amazing game. I don't see them fixing this one though. But yeah, man, that's what I got.
By the way, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. But yeah, I think we went over a lot of good stuff today, as usual. And I want to thank everybody there. We had a nice crowd of people show up, gradually on Rumble. We had a really nice group of people on YouTube, and we're always grateful for your presence and for your comments and everything you do in the chat. And it's nice seeing you guys here every Tuesday and Thursday. And we'll be back. Today is Thursday, right? So we'll be back on Tuesday. There'll certainly be a lot of things to discuss, and we'll try to even get in that Star Wars episode. We have to watch it, and then we'll be able to talk about it. So you'll immediately have that here. Now, whatever platform you're watching on, if you happen to have seen it recommended to you and you started watching it, and you're not yet subscribed or you haven't followed yet to these channels that you're watching the thing on, please make sure to subscribe, because it really helps the channel. You don't have to pay anything, you don't have to do anything special, but just having subscribers is something that helps creators. So if you could do it, it's a second of your time, and it really means a lot to me. In addition, whatever platform you're on, you should check out Dreadroberts, Dreadroberts. And anywhere you look for that name, you'll find a great account. Dread makes really informative videos about things that are happening in the gaming world these days. The type of videos that are very organized in the way they explain what's going on, and some of the best I've seen in recent times. So you should definitely subscribe to them. And
Thanks, man.
I guess you guys have a great night, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys Tuesday. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat.
Thanks. See you later, guys. Bye.